Welcome back to the Naked and Famous podcast. I'm Dano Cattle.
I'm Rob Vieira.
I'm Jimmy B.
Together we're the Naked and Famous podcast, and we're back to talk to you about the Brooklyn Bar Convention.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, lads, this week we checked out the Brooklyn Bar Convention. A few of us went down. Someone had to hold down the fort. Obviously, some of the lads here had to hold down the fort. But it was a good meet. It was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, honestly. There was like 4 buildings full of...
Yeah, when you were showing me pictures, I didn't realize it was as big as it was. I thought it was something that was starting to take off.
Yeah.
And then I seen pictures and I'm like, holy shit.
No, it was huge.
Who is here?
4 buildings?
Yeah, 4 buildings full.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Multi-story, too. Dale DeGroff. Met Dale DeGroff, the legend. Tried his Amaro and his vermouths. Very nice.
Dale DeGroff is the finger Negroni guy.
Yeah. Dale DeGroff is the finger Negroni guy.
The finger Negroni.
But he didn't stir it with his finger. He didn't stir it with his finger. I did ask him to. He didn't. He got in a picture with Dale DeGroff. Bit of crack. He made us a nice Manhattan with his own brand that's just like he was advertising. I was surprised for a guy his age, like he's got a lot of life in him. He's still like out there promoting his own brand. He's in
How
there.
old is he?
Man, I can tell you how old he looks.
How does he look?
He looks like a young 60-year-old, but he acted like a 30-year-old. Like he had a lot of life in him.
Got to keep the grind going.
Yeah, a lot of life energy.
Or it's just all the
his
just
Amaro was
alcohol,
banging.
all the partying. He's just got that party life. Did he seem like a partier or did he seem like a businessman?
No, he seemed like he was like there was something like nice about him, almost like sitting around with your granddad or something. Like
Charming.
Yeah, he was a charmer. That's it. He was a charmer.
I suppose if you spent your life in bars talking to people, trying to seduce women and stuff, you'd be kind of charming too.
I don't know if he was trying to seduce me or not, but if he did, he succeeded. But so the convention, it was all of the top brands, whether anyone you can imagine. You know, you had Jägermeister had a stand. Cucci Americano had a stand. Campari had a stand. Plantation had a stand. Literally any and every liquor and all the ones that you don't know had a stand. It was good to get out there, taste a lot of new and unheard of spirits. A lot of Amaros, a lot of vermouths, a lot of people like making their own stuff now. It was actually very impressive, but they put it together well. You know, they definitely put it together well. It was definitely a good showcase for anyone who's involved in like bars or restaurants. I definitely recommend checking it out next year. Basically, you get a 2-day ticket, $160. You're floating around. All the drinks are free. As many drinks as you want. You can, like if you're a big drinker, I'm not. I'm just tasting everything. I had a little taste of everything. But every stand has its own spirit that they're backing, and then it'll also have a spirit like with a cocktail based or a spritz or whatever they're trying to showcase it in. And funny enough, the likes of Italicus and like some of the bigger brands, they had like multiple stands where they would pair up with like, you know, let's say here's an Italicus spritz, and they'd pair up with like some sort of Prosecco or champagne company. And then over here here's an Italicus Negroni, and they'd pair up with a gin company. So like, you know, some of them you could tell were definitely like all for it. You had met the lads from Panda and Sons. I was very happy to meet them. I've been checking out all their new techniques. They have a new menu, and it's basically just techniques that have been underutilized and unheard of.
There's the Suze Pression guys, right?
They're the Suze Pression guys. Yeah, they're out of Scotland.
Scotland?
Yeah, they're Scottish. Pretty sure they're Scottish.
Panda and Sons are Scottish?
Yeah.
No
pretty
way.
Sure.
Panda?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Panda and Sons.
Panda.
I think they just like the name. But
It's crazy.
yeah, they're Scottish. Just so we know, this is what a wanker looks like. Thank you, Dara Dudley.
Yeah, I was like, you're using Dudley's cup.
Yeah, I'm using Dudley's cup. Just, you know, he stopped in. We had seen our old chef. He hadn't been here in a while.
Dudley.
He stopped in.
Is he in the area?
I think he's gone back
Oh,
over.
we should have had him on the podcast.
Yeah, we should have got him on, but
yeah,
honestly,
really
he's
stopped
been
for a day or
dying
two.
because he stopped in for a wedding. We had a wedding at the Blind Pig. First wedding that we hosted that was actually inaugurated, or what do you say? Like they actually
they
got
got inaugurated.
they got married in the Blind Pig, which was kind of cool, honestly. to see it happen. It was one of our last bartenders. He met his woman there, Evan Santoro, and you know, it's like adds
God bless.
that deep, rich history and culture that's adding to the skin of the blind pig. You know, which I enjoyed it. But as I said, Dara, he stopped by. It was good to see some of the old faces. But back to the bar convention, you had Panda and Sons, and I seen Martin Hudak again from Maybe Sammy. Anyone who doesn't know Maybe Sammy, one of the best bars in the world, always in the top 50. They're spreading across Australia pretty fast right now. They're based in Sydney. It's the Maybe company, but Martin Hudak's also the ambassador for Mr. Black.
Is he the owner of Mr. Black, or is he
He's
just
definitely a partner in it.
suppose-
I don't
right.
know like what his share would be, but you know,
Yeah.
he's a brand ambassador, and I'm assuming,
Because any place I see Mr. Black,
yeah,
I see Martin Hudak.
yeah, he's there, man. And he goes, he travels across to all the best bars in the world and does a lot of pop-ups, which is something that I really give him. You know, I tip my hat to that, because it's like he's been in some of the best bars in the world, just throwing on a show for one night, and he travels around the whole world doing it. And he's a young guy, like, you know, so he's definitely a party animal. Like, he's definitely out there having a good time. But he's putting it together, and he's doing the show, and he's getting it done. But
Speaking of party animals, Dano,
Yeah.
real quick. So, being at the Brooklyn Bar Convention as somebody who doesn't typically consume alcohol,
Yeah.
right? Now you're in a scenario where everybody is a party animal.
yeah,
What was that like?
man, it was actually hilarious, because
Yeah.
I'm tasting like the smallest, the most minute amount of, just enough to get it on my palate to understand what it is I'm tasting, and then I'm sitting next to people who are like, this is their fourth time coming back here for this spritz, and they're fucking buckled, and like they're well on the rail, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, all right, like, you're not trying to figure out what this is, you're trying to get the effect of what this is. And honestly, if you're going there to get the effect of it, if you want to go out and get hammered for 2 days straight and drink cocktails for $160, you know, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
can't beat that.
all you want to drink.
That's pretty good.
Solid, and then you're surrounded by like a fun atmosphere. So it was very
Sounds
funny
like
for
a bargain,
me.
actually.
It is a bargain.
It actually does sound
Yeah,
like
it's a bargain. But it was
We'll
very
go
funny
next
for
year, I'll
me,
tell you that.
because I'm bumping into, like, you know, all the people in the industry, people in bars who I know, servers, waiters, bartenders, restaurateurs, all these different people that I know. Met Marshall from the Valerie and from Madame George down there. Shout out to Marshall. He informed me about the new Spinzall coming out. Actually, if something you just want to chat about is the new Spinzall. Anybody who's like into cocktails knows that clarifying's a pain in the ass. A long time ago, some guys tried to make a centrifuge for a restaurant purpose. So a centrifuge is basically it's used to separate, you know, water from plasma, or, you know, they use it in laboratories. You can use it to separate like lime juice from like any solids to basically liquid or plasma.
That's how far this game has taken.
Yeah.
We're in the lab now, like
Yeah.
literally in the lab,
Science.
using
Science.
chemistry,
But it's
physics,
yeah, it's expensive,
and biology.
you know, and it's very expensive. Biology. It's
Yeah.
expensive, and it's under.
Biology's always
It's,
been a thing in bars. Though, just
It's
saying.
not efficient, because you can get like 50 mils done in one spin. You have like 5-10 mil little vials. You know, you're clarifying 50 mils of lime juice. That's like 2 cocktails. No good. No bueno. So Spinzall is essentially has a pipe coming out one side, a pipe going out the other side. It spins and it'll suck, you know, a quart of lime juice up constantly and clarify it and shoot it out into the other quart, completely clarified. So it's great for milk punches, clarifying lime, clarifying anything you want to clarify. But problem is that they made it before, they sent it out, it didn't work. Every single model broke, right?
Shit.
Because it's a hard thing to figure out. You know, like they're trying to make this thing spin at a crazy speed to separate, you know, liquids from solids, and then you're trying to make it affordable, you're trying to make it consistent, and you're trying to make it efficient for a different purpose than it was designed for.
It sounds crazy challenging,
So
doesn't it?
yeah, definitely, 100%. So Spinzall 2 is on pre-order right now. Spinzall 2.0 $999, get yourself a Spinzall. $899, get yourself a second Spinzall. You know, they're doing you a discount. But definitely recommend anybody who's in the game to go now and pick one up. We're going to pick one up. I think it's a great investment. Makes clarifying way easier and much more efficient. But Marshall put me onto it. He was the one who let me know that it's dropping. And they're doing it again. I want to say it's a company called DAC. I'll have to get back to you with the
That
company.
bitch.
That bitch, right? I'll have to get back to you with
bitch.com.
the company. But Spinzall, I can't wait to play with it. You know, definitely more effective than having a centrifuge. And we're going to get one.
So Dano, talk us through like the Spinzall. How beneficial would that be to have in a repertoire versus the way you're doing it already? Because at one point, for people that don't know about the clarification process, it takes forever, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's like not only is it labor intensive, but also it's like if you don't achieve the clarification that you want, you have to start all again. And if at the end of the clarification a little milky drop just happens to come through, your whole excuse me language, your whole like product is now diminished in like quality. So that's something that's definitely man, it's the most annoying thing ever. It's like I look over and I'm like, okay, I've got 20 quarts of clarified pina colada, and then I come back and there's like another 2 quarts to come out of it, and I come downstairs and I'm after taking the last 48 hours to get this done, and I come downstairs and someone's after knocking a little bit and it's after shaking in a way that now I've got a cloudy pina colada again. I got to go through the whole process again. So Spinzall, it's definitely a game changer. Hopefully it works this time. I'm gonna put a bet on by pre-ordering one and hoping that it works. I think that you wouldn't try it twice if you weren't serious about it. Like if you weren't serious about getting the job done, they're putting the money out there to try achieve it. So I hope it works because I want to use it and make my life easier. But anybody who's in like our style of bar who basically pushes out whether you want to do a clarified mojito, you want to do a clarified margarita, whether you want to make a crystal clear milk punch, whatever it is, even if you just want to like milk wash a vodka to just give it a nicer texture or cool it down a bit, any of these things, Spinzall, it's a game changer.
Were you thinking of Booker and Dax Spinzall? Is that the company name?
Booker and Dax, that's it. I knew it was a D. Booker and Dax Spinzall 2.0. So they did it the first time. I'm pretty sure that Dave Arnold, he talks about it, liquid intelligence and stuff. Booker and Dax is the name of the company, and they're putting the work in. They've done it once, and they say, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Second time's a charm.
That's it.
Yeah, make it work.
Yeah, thank you, Angelo, for shouting it out. We don't be putting the people on some cheap knockoff version of the Spinzall, and they're
Speaking
mad
of
at
which,
me.
you can buy one at the link below.
Yeah.
Just use the promo code.
But the Brooklyn Bar Convention gave me a lot of. I went to a non-alcoholic seminar, which was great. I was talked through so at the moment it's $11 billion of. That's what the value of the market for non-alcoholics right now.
So hold on, that's in the global setting. So in the global setting, the value for non-alcoholic beverages is $11 billion.
Yeah.
$11 billion industry.
Yeah.
Sounds
So-
like we need to get our hands in there.
Right, and they say
That's
that
crazy.
it's planet. They think it's going to go up by 2/3 to around 26. They say that this year it's going to grow to about $26 billion. The industry
This year alone.
Yeah, well, basically where
Gotta
they're
do some
going is
research.
when we grew up, right? All of the stars, all of the actors, everybody was you think of James Bond, Martini. You think of we're growing up. All the musicians, they're
Shaken, not
boozing,
stirred.
being rock stars. That's how it was. It was party animals, Charlie Sheen, da. Now, you look at the people a lot of them are sober. So a lot of the people who the younger people are looking up to, who the influencers and the people who they really are, trying to persuade, or maybe that they just have so much influence over the younger generation. The likes of pretty sure. What was the kid's name from High School Musical? But now he's
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. So like obviously started off in High School Musical. Now he's a great actor and he's in a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
like I really enjoy. But you know, that's how I remember him. High School Musical. He's a sober dude. Tom Hardy sober. Brad Pitt sober.
These are all sober.
Yeah, they had a big
No
so
way.
at the all these.
I heard
stars.
he smokes massive amounts of weed.
Who?
Brad Pitt.
Fair play to him.
Like ridiculous.
Like more
Yeah.
than Snoop Dogg?
Like up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
Well, man, you
But
know,
go
what?
ahead,
I'd say he has a lot of pressure on him.
He's
There's a lot of
global
pressure on
actor.
him. Yeah.
Man, that's one of my favorite actors, honestly.
Brad
Yeah,
Pitt.
Brad Pitt's the man.
Fuck yeah,
Man,
man.
honestly, every time I watch Brad Pitt, I'm not watching Brad Pitt. I'm watching the character he's playing. He embodies it so well. Yeah, he's great.
I love how he's just always eating.
Yeah.
Like, it just embodies his character. He's like
yeah,
so
I
calm.
want to eat this
eating and
peanut
singing.
butter right now.
Yeah.
but definitely huge market. Like it's gonna have a huge surplus this year. And you can see it. It's like even if people are just not trying to get absolutely wasted, even if it's like, okay, I'm gonna go from having a cocktail to having a non-alcoholic, back to a cocktail to a non-alcoholic. Not everybody will completely substitute, but they will take a break in their day of drinking. Or a lot of people actually don't drink at all, as we were saying before. Like we went down to a non-alcoholic bar, completely just non-alcoholic, and a lot of the bigger brands are actually starting to, you know, open their own non-alcoholic companies, whether it's like pre-made cocktails in a can, all this sort of carry on. And you can definitely see that they know that in the overall coming years that it's gonna be something that's like worth investing in, and it's gonna be something worth looking into. We've been building our own non-alcoholic back bar. We have a non-alcoholic event coming up for like 350 people. We're doing a non-alcoholic event for 350 people over at like 1 North Lexington Avenue. And they weren't just non-alcoholic. So we have a now. And actually, funny enough, Jimmy B sent me an article from punch.com where it was like the espresso no teeny. So it's a no teeny. So it's like it's non-alcoholic version of the espresso martini. And I was actually working on basically the maybe Sammy's espresso martini, but non-alcoholic version. So maybe Sammy's espresso martini is used with coconut water and rum, Mr. Black. So I made a non-alcoholic rum, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. I've got the non-alcoholic rum. I've got a lot of coconut water because we're making so many pina coladas, and now I can use this to make a non-alcoholic espresso martini for the event. And, you know, just little things like that. We've also got a non-alcoholic gin, non-alcoholic Campari, non-alcoholic vermouth, all house-made. Comes from the Zero book. Anybody who's trying to make non-alcoholic cocktails, definitely get on Grant That Gets Zero. It's an amazing book. Has like a lot of great recipes for non-alcoholic liquors if you want to build your own back bar. We've tweaked some of them just very slightly because we don't know more than Grant Agate, but we do have our own taste and we do have our own style. But it's definitely labor intensive, but when you see the trend in the market and where it's going for the non-alcoholics, how often we get asked for non-alcoholics a lot now.
Yeah, that's where we started doing the research, and Dano primarily, set in place the execution of these non-alcoholic liquors. I would say a few times a week someone asks for something non-alcoholic, and if you go to any good cocktail bars and you have a look around, they have a miniature non-alcoholic menu, and it's not like this juice and that juice and that juice mixed together and it's called a tropical breeze or
That's
something
the
like that.
old school way, right?
That is the old
Just
school way.
here, have some pineapple juice, have some cranberry juice, have some orange juice to top it off.
Yeah, exactly. And here you go.
The
This
game's
is
gone
non-alcoholic.
further.
Yeah, you go to places and they have non-alcoholic everything, no matter what it is, whether it be some sort of liquor or some sort of aperitif or some sort of, bubbles or whatever. There's everything's non-alcoholic, so you can actually go somewhere, feel like you're drinking, trick yourself into thinking that you're drinking. You could stand there with the cocktail in your hand and everybody else is going to think that you're drinking.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're just not drinking.
Well, you know what it is? It's I feel like one of the big aspects of non-alcoholic benefits is so I'm not someone who loves to drink. It's not that I don't like the effects it has on me. It's more that I don't like the feeling that it gives me. All right? I don't like how I feel when I'm drunk. I don't like how I feel after I'm drunk. I love the social atmosphere. Like you guys know, like I love being social. I love getting out. I love big crowds. I love hanging out. I love all that stuff. I don't like the feeling in my stomach when I have like a heavy stomach from drinking alcohol, and I don't like the next day the effects what it does to me. The non-alcoholic market, it knows that the further we get into the future, where people are slightly more divided and we have a little bit less social atmospheres, like you're not in the office, right? A lot of, perfect example, the people we're doing the non-alcoholic event for, they are a property manager. She's telling me a quarter to half of her building, and it's a huge building, is empty. Why is it empty? Because
People are working from home
people are
now.
working from home, and she's mostly lawyers and mostly
So
offices.
between 25% to 50% of that building is empty.
Yeah.
Imagine being the landlord
Well, and this is her gig.
or the tenant.
Right.
Why the hell are you
Well,
renting that place?
right now, they still have to fulfill the lease because the companies would have leased a certain amount of this office space.
For
so
a
they're
certain
still
amount
in
of
it.
years, yeah.
After that happens, God knows, maybe they'll come up with a new innovative way to make money off of that space. But for now, the point being is people are working from home more. People are connecting virtually more. People are on their phones more. So the social, where we work, the social space, it's more important now, right? And whether you drink or not, having a social space and a social environment is way more important now than probably ever, just because we are human and we need interaction. We need to get out. We need to blow off steam. We need to have a good time. We need to be around a lot more people than we typically are if we're segregated to just me and who I live with and me and who I work with. And the more divided you get in work, depending on what you're, like if you work for Amazon and you're driving around all day, great. You're out and you're driving around all day, but you're probably not having a bunch of interaction
Yeah,
with
no,
people.
that would suck, man. Sorry,
well,
like
listen,
it's critical.
someone has to do it, right?
Yeah, someone definitely has to do it, and it is necessary. Of course, everybody buys everything off Amazon. Everybody gets it delivered to their house, and somebody does have to deliver that product. But
And someone's got to be efficient delivering it.
Now-
Like you can't just have them stopping off, having chats.
yeah,
you
but
can't, you don't want your Amazon driver
God
being like,
bless.
"Here, I just stopped
There's-
here to talk to someone." For
those
the next
people are
20
better than me, man. There's no way. So last night we had one of our guys, or sorry, a couple of nights ago we had one of our guys, one of our new graduates, Anthony Garcia, was
Tony Legs.
Tony Legs. Tony Legs was telling me, he was like halfway through the shift, like halfway through a busy shift, he goes, Jimmy B, man, if my foot was fine, I would do this all the time, man. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is, man, 100%. This is a fun gig. You're having a bunch of interactions with people. Everybody thinks you're the man. You're shaking all these drinks, and you're not really lifting any heavy weight. And we've all had other jobs where we're doing grueling work. But if
The
you
weight
were to
that you
consider
lift-
that versus delivery or construction or something where you're left on your own for long periods of time, after a while you're like, this is grueling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Grueling.
Yeah.
God bless these people.
But here, actually, to speak on that subject, right now, Kenny, our other graduate, who we all
K-Love.
love, K-Love,
K-Love.
he twisted his ankle at a social event, right? Twisted his ankle, which, in my time when you twisted your ankle, you just walked it off. I sprained so many ankles, and I've never been to the hospital for a twisted or sprained ankle.
I've never acknowledged that I've had something sprained. I'm just like, no, it's fine. And I have to keep going.
I'm
You
pretty
know what I mean?
sure
You put
I
the two sticks
dislocated
with
two of my
tape.
toes right now. I'm pretty sure I got blast double legged at jiu-jitsu last week, and I planted my feet down and my toes inverted. And I'm pretty sure, I'm walking with a limp, but that's what it is. I'm walking with a limp.
I think
But,
yeah.
4 weeks ago, my
Sorry.
wrist was hurting. I'm like,
So-
what did I do to it?
Kenny jumped
wanna
down a
pay
set of
attention to it,
stairs
keep
at
it
the
moving.
Shake Off Tiki event in Rye, and he hurt his ankle, and now he's out. So him being out, we're all picking up shifts, which we generally don't do. So right now I'm picking up a Friday shift, which I haven't done in a long time. And our other bartender, Benny Blanco, is out in his woman's neck of the woods. I want to say it's Oklahoma. She's right in the middle of America. And I'm covering his shifts anyway. And honestly, I hadn't been bartending in the last 8 weeks because we've been organizing this and doing what we're doing. And man, I'm having such a blast getting back behind the bar. Like I'm honestly like, thank God I'm covering these shifts because this is way more cracking out. The only problem is when it gets after like 1 a.m. You're like, okay, now I remember why bartending's difficult, because from 1 a.m. to like 4:30, 5 a.m. when you're closing up, that's where you have to put in the real work, because it's like now it's more effort to interact with you and pretend, or not even pretend, but like to show that I'm having a good time. Whereas, 11 o'clock, I'm actually having a really good time and I'm not tired yet. I haven't hit a wall and I don't have to front so that you don't feel like I'm dragging ass and making your experience not as enjoyable.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there is a time in the night where the tiredness starts to set in. You're like, oh, Jesus. Because you're watching, you're like, shit, I've been here for 12 hours already and I got like 3 more hours to go. 12-hour shift. And you start thinking and like, oh, I got to start cleaning. You're like, shit, oh, God, I'm tired. You're like, what the hell is going on here? But and then it's 5 o'clock in the morning. You're sitting there like a zombie. You're like, oh God, I'm fried.
That's
where it goes.
But,
I didn't get out last night.
I miss the
4 o'clock.
social aspect of it. I do miss the social aspect of it. Like I miss being behind the bar and just interacting with people. And I miss you know what, this conversation's done because you're leaving. Right? I'm not with you for the whole day. I'm with you for like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Sometimes, a little bit longer, but sometimes shorter. And it's like, next, who's the next conversation? What's the next topic? How are we going to interact with the next group of people? And I love that. I love the fact that it's like, it's almost like I'm not on a date, obviously, because it's like speed dating, but just socially. I'm like, you, next, you, next. You.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's like we're having like a 2-hour in-depth conversation. I'm really getting to know you, and then out the door. Next, who's sitting down?
Yeah, sure.
That aspect, I love it. But
yeah, it's definitely a fun gig, man. It's very rare as well in the modern society where there's not too many settings where you can just sit down and interact with people that you don't know very well. Obviously, like I imagine people still have friends, or I hope people still have friends, or else we got a serious issue. But if you can just sit down.
Do people still have friends?
That's a whole other podcast. I think.
How many guys have joined our team, and when they join our team, you're like, this guy's an outcast from society, like not a whole bunch of friends.
This is a deeper question.
Right, Rob, there you go.
Honestly, I am an outcast. You guys is like my circle.
When we hang out,
God.
actually, funny enough, I met up with Rob after the bar convention. Rob was working that day, so he couldn't join us. And we went to the Diageo after party. Shout out, thank you, Diageo, for having a great after party.
You guys sound like
Rob,
you had a great time.
Man, we went from the Diageo after party to, not going to list to where we went because I'm not going to leave a trail of evidence. But we went to a long list and a long repertoire of places, and we had a great time. And it's funny enough, it's like all of our friends are based inside this circle, but it's a funny circle because everybody gets in it due to employment. But they're actually getting, a lot of the people, they don't even need the money. A lot of the people, they don't need the employment. They actually are looking for kind of like a group of people to hang out with, or more social atmosphere. Like Jesse, another one of our bartenders, moved back from like the Midwest, was in the Marines.
Yeah, Washington State.
Washington
DC,
State,
Washington
sorry.
State.
Moved back, has 0 friends in the electrical union, and he's like, I need to work extra on my time off just so I'm not on my own. And now he comes back and he's all on his lonesome. He sits in our bar a couple of times and he's like, these guys seem like they're having a good time. Can I get a job here?
Yeah.
And then now he wants to work all the time, more so because he wants to be around a group and a social atmosphere. And, it's like...
Well, at least it's constructive, you know what I mean? You could hang out with a bunch of crackheads just because you want some friends, and you could be sitting around smoking crack all day.
Well,
or you could be just...
That sounds like
I guess that's very true. That's very true. I mean, you want to be choosy and picky off of who you spend your time with.
Listen, Jesse's a smart dude. I'm sure he decided to hang out with us because he, deemed us the right type of people he wants to hang out with in the social environment. He could have went up the street and got a job in O'Connor's or Whiskey Creek or anywhere else, but he wanted to hang out with us. I think it was actually Jimmy B who did that. He explained to me that he was in here one time. He met Julio, one of our bartenders, great guy, but he's very professional. Off the bat, if he doesn't know you, he's very professional. And he gives the best service through his professionalism. Jesse's not professional. Jesse's an odd character who he requires a different touch. You can't just serve him to death and serve him. He doesn't want that. He wants like you to break his balls.
Yeah,
right?
old school bartender way,
Yes.
breaking balls.
So he sits down after coming and sitting at a table with Julio, and he's like, these guys are great, but this isn't like what I'm looking for. And then he comes back randomly with his cousin, sits down in front of James, and he was like, okay, this is different now. And he you know, and that was the difference between the feeling he got in our dining room to at our bar, sitting with James and realizing, okay, like every experience is individually tailored, and Jimmy B being like a great bartender understands that, okay, I know how to put it and give it with this guy, and I know how to make sure he's having a good time. I'm not going to get offended by what he's saying. I'm not going to, kick him out for being a little bit abstract. I'm actually going to play ball with him, and it turned out that's exactly what he wanted. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely an out there character. Good dude, very, very funny, and also very, very bright. Yeah, you can't. I don't think anybody could sit there and look at him and tell him the other way around, or pretend. I don't think somebody could look at him and call him dumb.
No, he's not a dumb dude.
No, not
Definitely
at all.
not. Definitely not a dumb
And
dude.
I would never ever take anything that he says to heart.
Well, you can't
Yeah.
because he's getting under your skin.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, he gets in and he's like sussing the situation. He's analyzing. He's like, okay, I can get this far with this guy, this far with this guy, and this far with this guy. And it's kind of like
When I met
that
him,
thing where you're
he
like
was-
pushing buttons.
I wasn't sure if he
after a while
hated
you're like,
me
I want to see what happens.
or if he was trying to see what type of way I'd react to him. If
That's
he acted like he hated me.
That's definitely what he's doing.
So he sat
He's trying to
there
suss.
and he acted like he hated me. And he ordered well-slapped arses from me. And there was just something inside me saying, there's no way that this stern guy can order a well-slapped arse from me, a drink with that name, seriously 3 times in a row if this isn't some sort of joke. Right? And then I realized I'm like, he's joking. I just need to joke back with him in the same type of sense that he's joking with me. Turns out, great guy, like I said, very clever, just wanted to be part of a social atmosphere and needs to hang out a little bit more, and was, after moving to a place where he had no friends and no one to hang out with. So he ends up getting into the work and what we're doing, which is a huge relief if you're just like me or James, who I moved here. Everyone I met through working in our industry. Back to the Brooklyn Bar Convention, on the same note, when I went back there, I was like, I couldn't believe how many people in New York that I knew. And I was like, I met all of these people through this industry. And I'm talking like, at one point I was over trying to do a bit of business. I went over to, it was a tonic company called London Essence, very nice tonic. And I was trying to chat to the ambassador, and like the guy from Bar Belly, your friend from Bar Belly, he strolled by and he was like,
Thicker dude.
Yeah.
If you watch this, you're gonna be so pissed.
Listen, we that's the thing
it
about
Steve?
the industry, though.
No. But
It's Dave.
So many people.
Is it Michael?
Is it Roger?
Is it Roger?
not Roger. If it was Roger, I'd definitely remember.
Roger.
But
Barbell is banging.
Bar Belly, great guys.
Yeah.
They invited me to an after party too.
All these after parties. Was anybody sacrificing any kids?
I felt like there were some seances going down.
We don't
honestly.
talk about that.
Right?
Until now.
No, I don't speak about it at all.
No.
Oh, Jimmy B, I dicked you. It is Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Big
Yeah.
brain.
There you go. So met Steve from Bar Belly. Also like Jess, the Diageo rep, walked by. Oriana. Basically like 20 people I knew walked by. And as they were walking by, this guy was trying to have a conversation with me, and he turned around to me. He was like, I don't know what the story is here. He was like, do you want me, should I get in a picture with you? He was like, you seem to know everybody in here. And I was like, you know what it is, man? I'm like, I'm bartending in New York
He's
City
the mayor.
10 years.
I'm the mayor.
There you go, right? But I was like, I'm bartending in New York. I'm like, these are just people I've met through bartending. That's all it is. It's like being in such a social atmosphere. And it was great. And it also kind of was eye-opening because I was with Eric. And Eric is like more of a shy guy, even though he, as a bartender.
On the face.
Yeah, on the face. Like, on the whole, he's shy. When you get to know him, he's not at all. Kind of similar to Julio and Kenny. But I realized that I was like, okay, I'm hanging out with Eric today, and I'm like a social butterfly because I've been doing this for 10 years. But I'm with Eric, just me and him. And everybody's coming up. And then I realized I'm like, every time someone comes up, I gotta be like, this is Eric, by the way. Eric's a bartender at the Blind Pig. He's a friend, And I'm like trying to let people, even the Jägermeister crew were there. They were like, "Oh, you guys, the guys from the Blind Pig."
Was Nate over there?
Oh, I didn't meet him. but
Mustache Nate.
Yeah, no, I didn't meet him. I have his little client, but a few of them were there, and they invited me to an after party as well. They were like, "It's pretty full up, but like I'll get you in because you know you guys are right across the road from us." And I was like, "Listen," I came back later and I was like, "Eric is a bartender at the Blind Pig." She was like, "Oh, I know him. He served me," and I was like, "So it's just there's so much connections within our industry that you know you kind of have no choice but to become a social person." Which I think is like great, and also, you know, it takes a lot out of you at the same time. But anyway, we're getting off track. Not that there's a track.
Can I
in the
interject real quick?
conversation. Yeah, go on.
Because you mentioned something before. You mentioned Oriana, and then we mentioned how you knew all these people. But something else that happened earlier on in the week was the bartender shake-off.
Yeah,
That
that's
happened
where
only-
Kenny hurt his
That's
leg.
where Kenny sprained his ankle.
That's where Kenny sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, bartender shake off
and
and right.
how did Kenny sprain his ankle?
Jumping down a set of stairs.
He thought
While
he could
he
jump
was
down 10
shit-faced.
stairs.
Yeah.
10
Fucking
stairs.
dumbass.
It's only 10. He's
You really
already
got to
good.
give him a grill after that. It's like it's something different if you're walking home and you're like not looking and you know slip on a curb and then you twist your leg. But if you're shit faced and you injure yourself, that's what you fucking
I
get.
remember I tried to like slide down a railing in the Copacabana when I was drunk. I totally forgot about it. Woke up the next day, my body was aching. I was like,
Yeah.
what did I try to do? And then it came back
Yeah.
like
That's
2 days
funny.
later.
That's what you get.
Yes, yesterday Dermot has a cut up wrist.
I seen that. I thought he was trying to like
He's
sacrifice
trying to
himself
shake-
or
He's
something.
trying to shake the bell outside the church down in Woodlawn.
Is
You know the
that what
bell
he's trying
outside
to
my
do?
old house? I was like, people used to
Oh,
always shake
no.
that when
St.
they got real
Barnabas?
drunk. He was like, drunk people shake that? Runs up the set of stairs.
St. Barnabas.
No, it's like an old abandoned church directly across from my old house at the top of like 230 or top of Martha Avenue.
Right.
But that's hilarious. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man, you know.
To talk on like the hospitality though, and like
God.
how everybody kind of knows everybody. I would say we have like our own underground world. Like there's so many times you go to different restaurants, you guys have a great night, and then you get the check and your bill's like $20, $25, and so because you knew one person at that
you know,
place.
man, to speak on that, right? So I'm not sure if that's right or wrong. Right, because as pleasant as it is when it happens, right? And it is pleasant when it happens. Don't get me wrong; it's always a nice surprise, and it's always like you have a lot of gratitude for it. But, and I understand that there's costs and stuff, but like most of the time, like I've gone to this place expecting to pay.
Yes.
Right? And honestly, when they don't charge me, I do. If they discount, that's great. I'm happy. You know, I'm always happy to get a discount. Everyone is. But if they just like, if they don't charge me, like almost don't charge me, I kind of lose value for their product.
Why
And
is that?
I don't know why.
Because they're giving it away for free.
Yeah. It's like you give something away for free, and I lose value for it, and that works in all aspects of life, I think.
And I want to talk, interject on this as well, because I feel the same way. One of the things that I feel, and it's unfortunate, but if somebody takes care of me overly well, I feel like I'm in their debt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I go somewhere and the bill is supposed to be $200, $100, and it gets in as like $30 bucks or $50, I'm like, oh, I owe you now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in your debt now.
That's interesting. I
always
think you
feel like
guys
that.
play too big on it, honestly.
I always feel like that.
And I do
Always.
feel like that
Yeah.
too. I've went places and like I remember one time I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. This is the only place I'll speak about it because I don't want to get anyone in trouble outside of, in our industry, you know, outside of, what would you call it? Like not commercial, but like a corporate
Yeah.
atmosphere, right? So corporations, no one's care. I'm not going to turn around and be like, oh, you know, I went to Death and Co and no one charged me because someone's getting fired. So I go to Buffalo Wild
Yeah.
Wings and I'm on a date and I'm in America like maybe a year. So I thought that wasn't, that was,
thought that was
I
the
thought
place to
that was
go.
okay. Which
you
obviously
get laid?
it's not. No, but
No.
I also, no, right? But
That's crazy.
so I'm in
Nice.
Buffalo Wild Wings and I order just like a normal amount of stuff, definitely like $120 bill, and the guy comes over and charged me for a soda.
What the fuck?
One soda.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear to God,
No
I got
way.
a tab and it was for a soda.
For $3 or $4?
3.
No way.
And I remember being like, right, do I leave the 100 now anyway? Do I have to give
Yes.
200?
If you leave him
But hear me
20%
out,
on the
right,
tree,
here-
that's
no, of course you're not going to do that.
150.
But like here, listen to my train talk. 'Cause it's not just one. It's like, right, do I leave 100 now? Do I leave 200 now to show the gratitude for the 100 that you didn't charge me? Do I leave like reasonable, like a $50 tip? Or I'm now, regardless of what I leave, are you going to come to my place of work and expect me to do this to you? And now I'm forced into a position where I feel like almost like I'm stealing from the house. That's the...
You are stealing from the house.
And this is my point. So if James's sister comes or your sister comes, we're going to be like, okay, you know, Rob's sister's here for her birthday. Let's look after her. And we're going to do the right thing. James's sister comes in for, you know, her child's christening. We're going to do the right thing. Paul, who you know from Buffalo Wild Wings, comes in after not charging you. And now it's like, right, I now have to not charge this guy for $100 worth of stuff because he didn't charge me for $100 worth of stuff.
Okay,
and that's, you mightn't...
I'm going to explain my process
right,
of
so
it.
as the chef, you mightn't get put in this position as much as front of house. Because me as the bartender, this if I get into this thing, this could happen to me 2 or 3 times a night.
Absolutely, I could understand that, but
Right.
I will say like we're never doing that like underneath the radar. We've never had someone come into the restaurant and we give them food, we give them a food tasting, we
Yeah.
do this without the manager, without somebody knowing. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's always
Understandable, but I feel like it's the less of a corporate atmosphere you're in, right? Like the larger the scale.
I've only done it in corporate atmospheres.
Right, so, and this is what I'm saying is like the larger the scale that you do it in, the more acceptable it seems to be because your manager is going to, if you go into like, for instance, the Dead Rabbit and you've got, what's your man, Jack? So
Jack and Sean.
Jack and Sean's not there and one of the bartenders hits you with like a 95% discount.
95% discount.
Right.
That's stealing at that
Right,
stage.
but
man. I'm
and
sorry.
this,
It
now
is.
here's the thing. Does Jack and Sean know about this?
No,
And-
is it stealing if Jack and Sean do know about
But
it? though?
let's say they don't know about it. Because
Of course, and it's stealing.
Right, because the odds are, right, even if you say to a manager, Jack and Sean don't know about it because they're probably not there in that moment. And they probably wouldn't okay it, not because they're trying to be tight, more because if everybody on any given day does that to one person who knows them, they're going to lose out on a huge margin. And everybody should, if you can do it, then James can do it. And if James can do it for his friend, then I can do it for my friend. And if we're all just doing it for our friend, but I do understand it because, like, you know, we've all given away a drink to somebody who we know, or, you know, someone comes in. When I worked in the city, I'd see a guy who I knew from White Plains. He'd come in and I'd be like, all right, I got your first round. And, you know, is it the best thing to get into? No, but it's way worse when you know that, okay, I was in this guy's restaurant last week and he didn't charge me for anything. And now I feel like I have to not charge him for anything. But in doing that, I'm kind of putting myself on the chopping board because
It's a weird
if-
thing, man.
if the
odd.
owner does know I do this or I haven't passed it up through the line of command the correct way, I'm gonna get like scalded for it.
I'm always on management level as well, so I guess it's never been. I
Yeah, you're a
understand
chef,
if an employee did that and every employee did that every day, it would cost something. But I guess it's only,
cost something.
of course, I know
It
it
would cost a
cost.
lot.
It would damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it is from the business perspective. You consider like there's a certain percentage allocated towards buybacks and, you know, complimentary dishes or beverages or whatever.
That's part and parcel of the game.
Of course it is, because sometimes people come in and you want to make them feel special. And it could be something, you know, a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, or it could have been somebody from a different place you're trying to get up, and you want to say, listen,
You want to
I
show
want-
maturity
It-
on your end,
yeah.
knowing that it's going to be reciprocated.
Yeah, you want to show that you're generous.
Generosity leaves a lasting impression.
Yeah,
Exactly.
of course,
It does.
absolutely.
But that being said, there is a fine line, and you
and that's
can't.
what I'm saying. It's like,
You can't let everybody start spilling all over and just like
No,
run
no,
wild
I
with it,
agree
because
with
it's going to
that.
be ridiculous. You can't. There's no way you can go into somewhere and get $100 worth of fucking wings and get charged $3 for a soda.
Right.
That's crazy.
but this
Where's
is my
that
point,
money
it's like,
gone?
now I don't.
I don't like Buffalo Wild
Now
Wings.
and now I don't
don't.
have.
I
I don't have value for the
Zero.
product, right? And that's where it comes down to. Is like
But-
I don't have the value that I once had for this product.
You know what? Because they don't have the value for the product.
Yeah, well,
that's what they've shown you. They're like, we don't give a fuck. We're willing to discount it 95%. So here you go. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, why should I care? That's the message
But,
you're sending.
okay, but we're not
the medium
just
is the
doing
message.
this to every random person.
No, you're
it's
not.
to someone that you genuinely know.
Yeah. No, and I agree. But I will say that I
95%
tend
still
to
a lot.
go back. I tend not to go back to the places that do it to me. Example is I went to a soft opening, and in the soft opening it was like one of your old managers who invited me, and I brought James to the soft opening, and I went there once, and they didn't charge me for anything, and I never went back.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, regardless of why.
So you would have never went back
right?
anyway. But
But same with like there's multiple places that when they do this for me, it's like
Is that place still there, by the way?
no.
No,
But,
I'm saying.
anything
So-
that man touches doesn't last that long.
That's
Right.
terrible.
So I wish I had that problem. And but whoa. So
Whoa.
check out the next part of the bar
Whoa.
convention was I actually checked out a company that was doing tapped cocktails. So I went to a presentation on tapped cocktails, which I thought was very interesting because I was in a seminar with maybe 50 people, and they basically were asking about oleocitrates. And oleocitrates, we've done them at the Blind Pig. It's extracting the peel or the oils,
Oil.
the essential oils from the skin using citrate or some sort of acid. So we've done this at the Blind Pig, and we've used it for comparison purposes. And we've checked out shelf stable for a very long time. So essentially, I learned that this is the key to tapping cocktails and keeping them shelf stable, which probably wasn't known or wasn't being utilized probably, up to 18 months ago or 2 years ago, probably wasn't really a thing. So anybody tapping cocktails would have been looking at like, okay, the product's going to be diminished in quality in the next, 72 hours. So we got to batch up this cocktail, and if there's any citruses in it or any perishables in it, if I don't sell this cocktail, and there could be like 150 cocktails in this batch, in the next 3 days, it goes off. So that's kind of like the swing of why do it, why not do it for efficiency versus product quality. But these guys had an answer for it. I found it very strange that only me and one other gentleman who was I can't remember what company he was with, but anyway, only me and him had played with the oleocitrates out of the whole seminar. Because they asked, they were like, has anyone done this? Put your hands up. And I was like, I do it.
Me.
And you're
Yeah.
in a New York City convention. That's
so
insane.
it kind of opened my eyes to being like, okay, we're definitely on the forefront with a lot of this stuff, and most people still aren't aware of it. But more into the tapped cocktail. So as you two know, and we're between us right now planning on building a larger restaurant in White Plains, and we're trying to tackle it in a different way than what's currently being done. And this company actually has a place in Philadelphia where they're doing exactly like, not exactly what we want to do, but they're using the infrastructure that we need and the infrastructure that we were seeking to use to achieve what we want to achieve. And they are doing, I think the guy told me that on a weekend, one weekend, they sold 6,000 old fashions. Right?
And
Now-
you say 6,000
Yeah,
dollars.
now they have a very, very large space, right? Like they have over 400 occupancy, which is similar to what we're trying to do.
if we did over 400 occupancy, like
Yeah.
let's say how many one night stands you guys think we would sell?
If
If you
in,
tapped it,
in a night,
yeah, if you tapped
Yeah.
it, honestly,
We'd hit those numbers, no?
Yeah,
400
But-
spaces, you flip it 3-4 times on a Friday night, 4, 8, 1,600,
who knows?
1,200.
Yeah, you'd
A
probably
lot.
beat that.
But I had never heard of that volume of old fashions going out. And
Jesus.
the guy spoke about how he did it and how he's tapping the cocktails and how he's keeping the quality and how he adds the dilution by weight and, all these different things. And he even spoke about, right, he put a mule and gin and tonics on tap. The mule on tap is actually a better product because,
Really?
yeah, absolutely. Because just like with beer, if you're putting it through your system, you have a certain set amount of carbonation, right? So they can make if you get a Moscow Mule, generally it's topped off with a little bit of ginger beer or whatever. We use fresh ginger, but it's not that carbonated because you're mixing it with 70% of the cocktail isn't carbonated. If it runs through the system the whole cocktail's carbonated, which is going to give it like more lift. You're going to have a brighter
yeah.
cocktail.
Yeah, more refreshing as well.
Yeah, and now it's like a more evenly distributed carbonation. So I was very like, that hit me, and I was like, okay, just putting a Moscow Mule on tap, doing it the way we do it with fresh ginger and stuff, but putting it on tap could actually cause the product to have a much greater, you know, what would you call it, like just a better product overall. And I was like, okay, so if I can get more efficiency and a higher quality product, this is a game changer. And I see that they do it at Double Chicken, which they have a whole front part where they do like
Yes.
20 tapped cocktails. And I'm like, okay, so it's not just large places doing this. So that tells me that there is, if you have the knowledge, there is a way to actually create a higher quality product
Yes.
and more efficiency. So that, like, the numbers spoke to me. The fact that the new the new like view on it and how the product can be better spoke to me. And then it made me think. I was like, okay, that allows you to have greater quality, more efficient. Probably overall, you're gonna get like a quicker service. You're gonna get like an easier service for both the bartender and the guest. And now, if you want a show, set up a different bar with the opportunity for you to go and see handcrafted cocktails, which is what a lot of these places do, because nobody wants to wait like 25 minutes for a drink when you first step foot in an establishment. You know, if you can get your first drink served like Double Chicken, you walk in, first thing you see is all the tap cocktails. You get your first drink in 5 minutes, you don't mind sitting for 25, 30 minutes with a drink in hand waiting for the next round of service.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can watch the show while you're being served also, you know. But it was definitely a game changer
It's
to
true.
get to that seminar.
And when you get to that volume, you know, if you're doing like 400 people, 500 people, you know, even a couple of hundred people, like, you cannot be making every single drink from scratch. There's just no way. Like, maybe the first couple of people that you will get through pretty efficiently, but over the course of the night, you know, you're adding an extra 10 seconds here, 10 seconds onto the next drink, maybe an extra 15 seconds onto the next one, maybe an extra 20 seconds onto one after. Like, halfway through the night, these people are waiting for forever for these drinks.
I've worked for a lot of large restaurants, man. They have like 3 or 4 bars in just one establishment. Even bars like where you can't see, just people making drinks for tables.
For service.
Yeah, for service.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the service.
the name of the
service bar
company is
separate.
Castle and Key.
Castle and Key.
Castle and Key. So these guys, they go around America and try to set up people's tapped cocktail system for them. Now, we're going to set up our own because I think we have pretty much know-how and we have all the infrastructure. But there's a whole company set up on doing this for restaurants and bars right now. So it goes to show that, you know, it's coming into the industry in a big way. And when you have like the number 4 bar in the world and the number 1 bar in North America also using this technique, and now you have a company trying to make money off just setting this technique up for people, it's the way forward in at least the service and efficiency aspect. Now, obviously, you always are going to want tailored cocktails and the experience of having to watch the show, but you know, it's coming in, it's big, and they had a large conference at the Brooklyn Bar Convention, and it was like, that was very, very informative.
Was there many more lectures going on? Because I would have thought, unfortunately I didn't make it to it this year, but I would have thought that the bar convention was more of a you come here buy my product kind of thing rather than a seminar-based, lecture-based education.
So
experience.
they had like an educational lineup where you could
Right.
essentially just check all of your all of your seminars, and you could make your own almost like your own schedule online and set yourself up for what you were interested in. And there was a couple that I didn't get to that I wanted to get to, but they just didn't line up with what I needed to take from the convention as opposed to what I would like to get to. Like, it was necessary for me to get to the non-alcoholic, and it was necessary for me to get to the tapped cocktails. But I would have liked to get to Dave Arnold's show. He was like doing one on science in cocktails. I didn't get to that, I would have loved to get to it, but I just had conflicting schedules with the stuff that I was trying to bring back for our business. But on a more funny note, I'm dying laughing about how our Monday morning has started. Right, we're at the start of like it's it's a bank holiday because we've got the Juneteenth.
Yeah,
right?
it's Juneteenth, and today's date is the 19th.
Right, so we're in here. We walk in, podcast waiting to go.
Mm-hmm.
First thing off the bat, pilot light won't start on our fryer.
Dano walks into the kitchen. I'm on the floor.
Right, so fryer's not starting. Half of the prep and half of the menu that we have goes through the fryer. So fryer's not working. Nowhere is going to come and fix it because it's a bank holiday. That's the name of the game. We got to roll with the punches today. Then I walk into the bar and Jimmy B is like dying to tell me a story that he's just holding in. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, what's going on? So hit me with this.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
So I'm sitting there, right? I'm having a quick beverage before we start the podcast. Joey's covering. Joey's there setting up. Some gentleman walks in, older guy, probably in his 70s, walks in with one of the walkers, sits down in the corner, and Joe's like, "What can I get you?" He goes, "Heineken." And Joe's like, "Okay, here, Heineken, $8." The dude is obviously deaf. You know, I'm not trying to make fun of the guy, but he is. He's deaf, so he can't speak proper English. So there's a communication barrier between him and Joey. Joey's trying to understand what the hell this guy's
Does
saying.
Joey know that he's deaf off the bat?
There's no way he doesn't know because this guy is so deaf, it's crazy.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
deaf. There's levels.
Yeah,
I didn't know
levels
that,
to
yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
He must not be able to hear a thing.
So anyway,
Right.
the guy is confused that Joey's doing his job, and Joey's like, "Here's your Heineken's, $8," and your man's like, "What's going on?" And then can't even communicate, and Joey's like, "I just don't know what you're saying, man." And it's Monday morning, and Joey's like, "This is how the day is gonna go, I guess." And then they start getting into a back and forth, and Joey's like, "It's $8." He's trying his best to communicate $8. Your man's just like, "Fuck you." Your man he starts going like this to him, and I'm like, no way, this old deaf veteran is just like telling Joey to go fuck himself.
And Joey's trying to write it down to him, right?
Joey's like $8. Yeah, but shall I get to it in a second? There's something funny about that too. So he's like $8. Your man's just like, fuck you. And then Joey starts looking at me laughing, and I'm like looking at him laughing. And then the guy doesn't know that I'm part of the business, and he's looking at me and he's like, fucking guy. and then we all start going like this to each other. Like, he's like, fuck the two of you. There's like a triangle going on. And then your man, for some reason, gets up and he's like, he gets a piece of paper and he's like, write something. He goes, here, and he passes it over to me, and it says, vote for Trump. Yeah. It says, vote for Trump. I'm like, what? And
You
he's
reckon
like,
that's what he was trying to tell Joey?
I have no idea, but he just passed over. I'm like, Joey, look at this. He goes, vote for Trump, vote for Trump. And then every time he's going like this, and then your man, Joey, turns around and do something. He starts going like this. And I'm like, I cannot believe this is how the day is going. And
It's a good way to start.
Joey takes it in his stride. Joey's like laughing his ass off. He's like, this is the best job ever, man. I can't believe this shit just happened. I can't wait to tell the story.
Man, honestly, sometimes...
Oh my God.
Sometimes...
I will say I was actually leaving the bar and they're having a good time right now.
yeah, no, of
actually
course. Like, it's going to work out at some point.
they reconcile.
But the funny thing is, like, how much comedy writes itself in bars? Like, how much scenarios actually happen in bars that you can just tell it to people and it sounds like you're after writing comedy?
You know,
like, that's gold.
I would consider myself to be a very how would I say it? I don't like the term boring, but if your energy levels was to go skyrocketing like this, mine is very like level, right? And in regards to working in a bar, I feel like I am so desensitized to all of the crazy stuff that happens because I've been around it for so long that I'm like, this is just normal.
Yeah.
But if somebody else came in, they'd be like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, what do you mean, what the hell is going on?
Man,
This is what happens.
So I brought Jesse
God.
out yesterday because it was his birthday this week. So I'm like, right, we'll go out on Sunday. And we went out on Sunday. We're going for dinner. We planned to go to Stamford. Couldn't get a cab to bring us to Stamford. So we ended up going down to Woodlawn. Jesse'd never been in Woodlawn. Right? So, and Woodlawn used to be way more, it used to be like way more populated with just Irish people. Now it's kind of tame. But we're walking from the first place, Saints and Scholars, where we go and grab a bite to eat. And great food, by the way. I had a good time. I'm walking out and there's one Irish guy wearing a tank top and the shortest shorts you could ever wear, right? And right off the bat, Jesse's like, what's going on with this guy? And this guy is stumbling hard left to right. Like I'm talking like, and he's young. He's young and fit. Like this dude's fit. He's maybe 23, 24. He's like stumbling heavy side to side. And he gets to us and he's like, lads, I'm looking for a bar. And we're like, right, you're about a block away from a bar. He's like, initially, he just is so happy to see people. And he's being so friendly to Jesse. And Jesse's so happy to see someone this disorientated.
Yeah.
He's like so happy to see a guy this drunk. And I was like, man, if you would have got here like 9 years ago, my first
God,
day
it was
in
like the
Woodlawn,
heyday.
I walked down the street and there was just bodies littering the place. And just like everywhere, like you'd look on the ground, there's like 4 dudes asleep here. There's 2 girls
Yeah.
there, half finished a burger, lying on each other asleep.
Yeah.
It was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Now it
It's
comes
ridiculous.
few and far between, but it's still one of the places where if you go down there on a weekend or on a Sunday, you're guaranteed to see like really drunk Irish people just stumbling around the place doing nonsense. It was very funny, honestly.
Yeah, it's the truth. I think there's a couple of factors that play into that. I think one is that it's so hot during the summertime that you people are just used to it now at this stage. But yeah, you people, yeah, American people are so used to it at this stage. But we're not used to it. Like we have a very like mild climate, and it gets cold at nighttime. It's never warm at nighttime. So these people are shit faced after drinking all day. Then they come out and sit down for 2 seconds, and they get a full belly of like a burger or something, and then they pass out everywhere. We've often driven home or just went for a quick tour. People are asleep everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
There used to be a Facebook group.
They just fall asleep in the middle of the fucking street. They'll be falling asleep like in the middle of the road.
There used to be a Facebook group called
It's ridiculous.
J1 or Stateside Spotted or something.
Yeah.
And it was basically a Facebook group that added you if you were from this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they would just upload pictures of drunk Irish people all over the place. And like, it was brilliant. Like you'd have like them drunk on the way to work on a Monday morning, asleep at the bus stop, like 2 of them like holding onto a subway rail, just drunk asleep, and he'd be like, it would just be captioned like, I guess the lads aren't making it to work today, you know, all this carry on, but it was good crack.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore as much.
No,
honestly,
no.
like
There's
the Irish population has spread out more now, a lot more
Yeah.
in Brooklyn, a lot more in Queens.
Yeah, and globally as well. We go to a lot to Australia
Yeah,
and Dubai.
most Irish people
Yeah.
are going to Dubai and Australia right now.
But it's
Sorry,
a
America.
testament. It's a testament to say that these people are safe. Like let me start by saying I don't think falling asleep, shit-faced drunk in the middle of the street in a country that you're not familiar in is a smart idea. I think
No.
that's a very, very, very stupid idea.
Yeah.
I think you should really reconsider your actions. That being said, I haven't over the course of my almost 10 years here in the States heard of a J1er falling asleep, shit-faced in the middle of the night, and something really, really bad happening to them. Like
There was that one guy.
there was that one guy, and there was a charity set up about him, and
Yeah.
I don't want to speak about it. If you want to speak about it, that's by all
honestly,
means.
You know,
But,
sad. I'm going to stay
yeah.
away from that.
But that's one over the course of 10 years. Now, I have a kind of funny story about this. So I was coming home from work one night. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm pulling into Dee's Deli. Dee's Deli, if anybody hasn't been there, it's a bespoke deli. Bespoke deli, amazing
no
service. No menu. You walk in, you're like, I want eggs, and they'll give you the best eggs ever. So anyway, I'm walking past, and there's some dude like asleep in the middle of the street, of course, like normal. So I do the normal thing, I wake him up, and like, pal, you're asleep in the middle of the street, you got to get up. So he takes a few minutes to like gather himself. I'm inside, and I'm looking at the door. He walks past the door, walks down the street, and I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm having a cup of tea. He walks past again. I'm like, this guy has no idea where he is. No clue. So a couple minutes later, he walks into the deli, sits down, gets a cup of tea. He's like 2 seats away from me. I'm like, he's waiting to talk to me now, I know. So I'm like, okay, let me break the ice. I'm like, where are you from? He goes, Loud or Donegal or somewhere like that. I'm like, oh, cool. So what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm just here for the weekend. I'm like, okay, cool. So where are you staying? I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? He goes, I don't know. He's like, oh, well, bring your friends. You'll find out. I'm sure it's somewhere around here. Oh, they're not answering the phone. I'm like, but you must have your address written down somewhere. Like, you know where you're staying. He's like, no. I was like, hold on a minute. You came to a foreign country. You can't even get in touch with any of your friends. You have no idea where you're living. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You're absolutely shit-faced. You have no idea where you are, where you're going. Nothing. He goes, no. I'm like, you're fucking retarded. I'm sorry. Like, you are. Like, God bless the people who are like, they don't have any bad intentions or anything like that. But man, if you were in some
No
countries,
foresight.
you would be trafficked at that stage. Somebody would be going around trafficking
If you were a good-looking
you.
woman, you would be for sure.
100% you are, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's another testament to say that mostly women are safe in the Woodlawn area, even if they do get like blackout drunk like that, which happens all the time. They are relatively
Well,
safe.
I
haven't
mean,
heard of any
what is
terrible
this guy
story
going to
happening.
offer being trafficked? Obviously, his kidneys are bad. His liver's probably shot.
Anything.
Yeah,
Nobody wants it.
Anything.
Human sacrifice.
But
So check it.
it's
Last
crazy. I
night,
can't believe it.
last night, Jesse's wrote, right? Jesse's wrote off. Like, it was his birthday. He started off, when we sat down for dinner, he started off by ordering an IPA and a side of Reposado, right? So
An IPA and a reposado.
first drink, give me an IPA, give me a Reposado, and it went from there.
Oh,
and
God.
now that was at like maybe 8 o'clock. So now it's like 1 a.m, and we're sitting outside the bank on the corner, the Bank of America on the corner of McLean Avenue. And we're sitting there and we're waiting for a cab. And there's some dude just standing there, he just falls straight over. Right, and the two lads, I'm sober, but the two lads are drunk as shite, drunk as skunks, right? So they start dying laughing because the guy makes a funny noise as he's falling and he falls real slow. And he's a young guy, right? He's not old. He's like, in his 20s. So we're dying laughing. And then I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, we're watching someone far more drunk than us. And the two guys beside me are pretty drunk. And the guy, he stays down for like 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, he tries to get up. And as he tries to get up, he makes about a quarter of the way up and he falls back down, takes a knee. So the guys are dying laughing even more, right? So I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. There's two really drunk girls, like maybe 20 feet away from him. So the guy kind of becomes aware that there's drunk girls next to him. And he's more drunk than them. But they're pretty drunk too. Like, right? It's Woodlawn. Everyone's, they're skunked.
On it, yeah.
So we're laughing. We're like, oh, he's making an effort. Like, he's valiantly trying to go over there, and like he still proceeds to try his chances with these women, right? And he can barely hold his legs, and he's trying to get their attention by standing close to them. And we're dying laughing, watching. Like, it was just great. But another fella walks over to me randomly, and he had come up to us throughout the night periodically. Small guy from Galway, and I'd never met him, but he just kept stopping real serious and looking at me and saying something kind of silly and then walking. I thought he was going to like say something mean to me or like try pick a fight with me or some shit. He stops and he looks at me real serious and he's like, shite of a weekend, huh? And I'm like, what? And he was like, acting the maggot. And he just walks off. And I'm like, and acting the maggot in Ireland just
weird.
means like getting like
Up to no good. Pretty
getting
much.
up to no good. And I'm dying laughing because like just the scenario, how the events are going down. You have one guy can barely stand, trying his way on with these two women who also can barely stand, and this lad who just randomly in increments comes up to me very seriously and says nonsense to me and then continues about on his path. And I'm just like,
It's ridiculous.
man, there's very few places like that where there's not animosity. Like, there's not, like, I didn't feel danger, and I'm like, if I wanted to take advantage of these people, right, they're so inebriated that you could lead them astray, no problem. You could bring them to the other side of the country and they wouldn't even know where they're going, like, And anyone who doesn't go, you should go down there and check out like the JP Clark's beer garden. Very funny place to be, and if you want to go people watching, Woodlawn is a great place to go people watching. But man, good crack. You can't beat the Irish crack. It's even when you're in another country, like it's very funny. It's all like, how do you say, like, it's in good humor. It's all like usually like lightheartedness, but absolute like acting the maggot's the best way to put it. Like, up to no good, mischief
Yeah,
on the mind.
yeah. It's just like having the crack is the term that we would give for it, but you're definitely just like going with the flow and seeing what happens. And for the most part, people don't have bad intentions, like we just explained. Like, nobody's getting trafficked or mugged, even in the lower case. But to just one thing leads to another, man. You just go with the flow and you're just shit faced. Next thing you know, you're just doing silly nonsense.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember, funny enough, you were saying about spraining their ankle and this and that. My mate Jay went to Oxygen, and Oxygen's a festival in Ireland. There's like a prop of a bus, a double-decker bus, because all the buses in Ireland are like double-decker in Dublin anyway. climbs up to the top of this bus, jumps off it, breaks his 2 ankles. Right in the middle of the field. I swear to God, like, shattered his 2 ankles, needs all
Why?
this surgery on it. No reason at all. And has it on video, asks people to record him as he's doing it as well.
This reminds me of the scene of Batman.
And I
Or
want
the
to
Dark Knight where he throws him, not the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, or the Dark Knight one that was he throws him off the building.
Yeah, brilliant.
Gross.
Man, just, Irish people are just trying to have a good time, and, you know, their intentions are usually mean well, but absolute menaces to society.
Yeah, menaces to themselves.
Yeah, menaces to themselves.
Menaces to themselves,
But
man.
that's pretty much everything that I remember from the Brooklyn Bar Convention anyway, and pretty much everything from this week to keep us up to date. Haven't gotten a chance to really explore any further restaurants because of the convention this week took my time away. But we'll be back next week, and we'll have a few more reviews on different restaurants and a few more recommendations on where to go. And, you know, I want to say that the one thing to take from today's chat is definitely go and check out the Brooklyn Bar Convention, because it's well worth it. And it's on for 2 days, and it's usually down there around the same time every year. And very informative, good crack. Good people. Everybody in the industry should definitely go check it out. But listen, lads, another episode of the Naked and Famous podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dano Catlin. We're joined here with the lads.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.
God bless.